Welcome and namaste. This is Stardust Stereo. I'm Parker McPhinney. I'm your host. Today is the 30th of June, year 2026. And today's episode, we are going to speak on Jupiter ingressing into Leo. This occurred last night at 10:51 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It would have been the early a.m. on the East Coast, and if you live elsewhere, you will have to do the math. Most people aren't so particular about the exact time that a shift happens in the cosmos, but I do know that astrologers listen to this show, so I like to get really picky, detail accurate. Every year, Jupiter enters a new sign. Sometimes it's 13 months. And on some years, Jupiter will retrograde back into the previous sign for a few more months. It's not a linear, smooth transition from one sign to the next always. Today, we have Jupiter in Leo, and it will retain that placement until July 26, 2027. So we have 12 months and then some to perfect our inner shine. Leo is all about identity with the heart. It rules the heart. It also, the Leo sign, zodiac placement, is about expression. So during this period, while we have this big-hearted zodiac placement in the biggest planet, it truly is a time for you to channel what you came here to channel. It is not a time for you to be shy. It is the moment for you to realize my purpose in being here as far as your self-expression goes, and to allow yourself to cultivate that and present it to the world. Leo also has jurisdiction over children. One of the best ways for you to tune in to your shining ability is to learn how to play, how to be like a child in your creativity and in your innocence. And this can be a real challenge in today's world. Tap into your shine factor. Everyone has a place where they shine. Even an accountant has a shining factor, especially if you're doing taxes and they help you save money. They are way shining. Leo is a fire sign. The fire signs out there, those born with the sun in fire, Leo, Sag, and Aries, they will definitely benefit from this Jupiter entering a fire sign. And if you have a strong fire signature in your chart of any of those zodiac signs I just mentioned, you too will have a beneficial energy, a B12, maybe even a B12 shot every month while Jupiter is traveling through Leo. So I want to talk a little bit about the chart of the exact moment when Jupiter entered into Leo, because if we look at that chart, that gives us some extra little tidbits of how we can utilize it for this next 12 months. This chart indicates to me the importance of finding your voice, because at the moment, the exact moment when Jupiter entered Leo, it was moving toward an exact square to Chiron. Chiron is the maverick planet. Some astrologers do not give Chiron planet status. I have been following it for over 2 decades, and I do. At the moment of entry into that lion roaring sign of Leo, Jupiter was also in conjunct the North Node, which is not a planet but a point. So combining these two exact transactions that happened immediately upon the new entrance, I say it is your destiny and duty to understand your own voice and to give it a microphone, like me. Not necessarily doing a podcast, but allowing yourself to shout out what it is that you wish to share, especially in a creative manner. And with that North Node being activated upon the Jupiter's entrance into Leo as well, it indicates that you cannot expect immediate recognition. The most important recognition is for you to recognize how you shine within yourself. Your most important audience is your self-confidence, is your capacity to believe in yourself. Not everybody can be or is called to be a superstar. We all can actually be a superstar within our own circles. Sometimes when Jupiter enters into Leo, we can hunger for the fame. We can hunger for being king. And we know that actually if we can be king over our own destiny through our choices that we make, it really doesn't matter if the rest of the world gets it. As long as you get it, there will always be a percentage of people that do get you and view you as king or queen. Why it's so important for you to find your voice is because when Jupiter is square to Chiron, as it is in this ingress chart, there's a conflict between your comfort zone and not letting you speak your voice, not being the wild wolf out there saying something when nobody else is, or doing something when nobody else is. I think of iconic people like David Bowie. I was a David Bowie super fan when I was a young person. And Bowie had a following right from the start, but he was not the iconic David Bowie that was celebrated upon his passing, where the entire world just bowed to his creative excellence. No, that didn't always happen. There were the Bowie freaks, and then there were times when that creativity was not flowing. But then by the end of his life, the world recognized he was outside the box, and he didn't shut himself up. He pursued his voice. Even when it's uncomfortable to find your voice, and maybe you haven't found your audience yet, you still have to keep speaking and progressing toward what is your inner calling. The children will become very important in this next 12 to 13 months. A lot of legislation and changes in our attitude toward children and the protection of children and how we relate to children will become a hot topic. The last time Jupiter traveled through the sign of Leo was mid-July 2014 to mid-August 2015. Now, every single occurrence of Jupiter in Leo is conditioned by other factors. But you might think back, if you were born then, to July 2014 through August 2015 about the various paths that you explored, how your heart opened or did not, what it was you were doing for an expression of yourself. Did you give birth to a child? The highest form of creativity is making a baby. What exactly was going on that got your attention within your own circle of life back then? What labyrinth will you now enter into or continue through with Jupiter in Leo now? Sometimes with our path in opening the heart, we can start in one position and then get lost during parts of it, only to return back to the beginning, but with a new understanding of what it is that we truly seek. Whatever you seek, the most important factor is that it has heart for you, that you are invested both emotionally and also physically. Another factor of the Jupiter entrance into Leo is, where is your voice the strongest? Where is it the weakest? Cultivate your weakness into a power point. Sometimes we identify with our earning ability to the point of not seeing the bigger picture. And I mention that because as Jupiter moved into Leo, the sun was in, as it still is, Cancer. And Cancer is about security and your nest and being able to provide and nourish yourself. Because Jupiter in Leo is tied to the sun, so we look to the zodiac placement of where the sun is at the moment Jupiter ingressed into Leo, and it was in Cancer. And so this particular chart also says, do not equivalate your earning power solely as your greatest strength. Maybe it is. Maybe earning enormous sums of money is your greatest strength, and then what you do with that money becomes other strengths and leads into incredible paths, because everybody knows that monetary levels do allow you to make different choices. So it is important. But just because a calling does not necessarily generate enormous sums of money does not mean that it should be discarded. That's what I'm talking about. As you give yourself worth, don't solely look to your bank account. Listen to your heart. Does it fulfill my heartstrings? So since the sun is currently in Cancer, right now it's about emotional needs. So we have the potential to shine when we understand our own emotional needs and worth. At one point, the sun's going to move into Leo, its own sign, its ruling sign, and we'll get a double dose of the Leo energy. This is what I call the super ego. Now, Jupiter moving into Leo is going to give us 13 months of everybody identifying with their ego. This can be a good thing, and this can also be a nightmare if a person solely has surrendered to the forces of the ego, they can be intolerantly difficult to be around. So you're going to have to find other characteristics of Jupiter in Leo to help you through and have patience with those that only identify with the power aspect of Jupiter in Leo. A lot is going to be happening in 2026 with this Jupiter in Leo. And as I did my research, I was like, oh, lo and behold, when does Mars move into this point of Leo? Not just any point, the 20-degree Leo point. August 12th, there is a total solar eclipse at 20 degrees of Leo. When Jupiter hits 20 degrees of Leo, and then when Mars hits 20 degrees of Leo, we are going to see the power of the people. We are also going to see that super ego blossom, let's hope, in a very strong and gigantic way. This is the part that I wish I did not have to mention, but I do. Mars will be at 20 degrees of Leo on November 3rd, 2026, which happens to also be the midterm elections in the United States of America. Wow. I can tell you straight up, there's going to be a debate about the elections. There will be a huge debate. I'm going to give you a couple of more dates for you to mark your calendar as red letter days. October 3rd, 2026. February 26, 2027. And May 28th, 2027. Those are the 3 dates that Jupiter in the sky will be at 20 degrees Leo, activating the potential of the August 12th total solar eclipse. So I'm just going to recap briefly because I know that's a lot of astrobabble for you. We are going to be having a surge of a tsunami of volcano fire energy that has a potential of both celebration and a little bit over the top control freak energy. Those dates I gave you, October 3rd, February 26, 27, and May 28, 27, are most important. They could also show the period when you start a project, it hits the second act, and then the third act is in May of 2027, the end of May of 2027. The fact that we have a total solar eclipse in the sign of Leo while Jupiter is traveling through Leo, and then in November Mars will be in Leo, it is just a go, 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 sort of over-the-top Olympic opera singing that's been done never before. So many people will outdo themselves. They will shine so bright that they even surprise themselves. But there is a flip side that some people will act out in a total egomaniac way that is not good. We're going to go with the former. I'm going to encourage you to express to your highest level the capacity for goodwill, a healthy heart, a charming, magnetic, charismatic self to emerge and be born for you. This is an extremely noble placement. And we can also rest assured that within royalty and in royalty life, in the places where they actually have kings and queens, many changes, many new arrivals to the throne. And if you were born with Jupiter in Leo, you are having a Jupiter return. Jupiter is also about learning to relate really well to people, learning to relate to all cultures, not just within your circle, but also communities that are completely different from your own. Jupiter rules the law and universities and athletic excellence. So especially during the Olympics in the future, the Winter Olympics, and whenever the next Olympic series begins, we're going to see people breaking a record left and right. During all of this, Jupiter in the sky will trine Neptune, so the imagination has the potential to just soar. Jupiter will also sextile Uranus. That brings a magical breakthrough in areas of education, of space travel. Who knows, maybe we'll even meet an alien. It's possible. Allow yourself to shine like a prism, like a diamond. Allow it, the creative consciousness, to pour through you. I'm Parker McPhinney. This is Stardust Stereo. I'd like to thank you for listening. I'd like to thank my patrons. You know who you are. And if you'd like to become a patron, you can do so at patreon.com/ParkerMcP. And I want to remind you, you are made of stardust. So go shine.